Welcome back, Islanders. Yesterday, we talked about how great God is, and we looked for the number 1 around the room. Do you remember what the number 1 has to do with God? Yes, there is only one true God. Let's put up our pointer finger again, like we did yesterday, and say it together. There's only one true God. Today, we are going to look for something different. Let's see if we can find the big O on our treasure map. I wonder what an O has to do with God. Do you? Well, there are 3 big words about God that start with the word omni, that starts with an O. The word omni means all. Did you know God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-present? It's true. God knows all things. Nobody else knows everything. Only God. He knows where every star is and how many blades of grass there are in the whole world. He knows how many grains of sand there are on the beach and when an animal is born. He knows every word that has ever been said and every word that you will say. In fact, he even knows what you're thinking this very second. Now that's pretty cool. And God has all the power in the whole world too. Nobody else has all the power in the world, only God. He can make it snow, or he can call a storm. He can heal someone who is sick or make someone's eyes work that was blind. He created every animal and every person. He can do anything. Whoa, now that's pretty cool. God is also everywhere at the same time. Nobody else can be everywhere at the same time. Only God. He's with you always, wherever you go and wherever you are. There's nowhere that you can go to get away from God. A man named Jonah found that out the hard way. Let's get our Bible out of the treasure chest and learn more about Jonah. Our account starts with God telling Jonah to go to Nineveh. God wanted Jonah to go there because it was a bad city and the people didn't know about the one true God. So Jonah was supposed to go and tell them that God wanted them to turn from their sin. But Jonah didn't go. He didn't care about the people who lived there. So Jonah paid some money and got on a boat to a different city named Tarshish. Well, the journey started out fine, but the Lord sent a big wind and a storm on the sea. The sailors were really afraid. They thought the boat might break into pieces because the storm was so bad. The sailors began throwing their supplies off the ship to lighten the load. During this whole time, guess where Jonah was? He was asleep. The captain went and got him up and told him to go call on God. You see, the sailors realized the storm had come about because Jonah was trying to get away from God. Jonah knew God sent the storm because he was trying to run. So Jonah told the sailors to throw him overboard and God would stop the storm. As soon as Jonah was thrown overboard, the storm stopped. But guess what happened? Jonah, when he fell into the sea, a big fish came and swallowed him up. Can you imagine being in the belly of a big fish for 3 days and 3 nights? That's where Jonah was. Do you think God knew that he was there? Yes, he did. God knew where Jonah was, and God was with him. Even though Jonah thought he was dying, but then he prayed to God, and God heard his prayer and commanded the big fish to throw Jonah out onto the shore. Yuck, that's kind of gross. Can you imagine a God so powerful that a fish does what it's commanded to do? God can stop a storm. God can cause a fish to swallow Jonah, and God can command that fish to throw him back up. Our God is almighty. So I have a question for you. Do you think anything is too hard for God? No. The Bible that we can trust tells us that nothing is too hard for God. He can do anything that he wants to. Do you think it's too hard for God to make a star or a planet? No. Do you think it's too hard for God to make a person? No. Do you think it's too hard for God to see in the dark? No. Do you think it's too hard for God to be at the bottom of the ocean or the top of a whole big mountain? No. Do you think it's too hard for God to stop a storm or put a rainbow in the sky? No. Do you think it's too hard for God to bring back Jesus back to life? No. God is almighty. He has all the might in the world. He is our amazing, our powerful, always present God. And the great news is he is always kind and loving, and he cares about us. So he always uses his power for our good. It would be a little scary if God had all the power, but he wasn't kind and loving. But he is. He is a wonderful God. I can't wait to be with you tomorrow.